going. Oh, all right, the tarp is up, so I've got somewhere we can try and get dry. I think I've reached the limitations of my waterproof poncho because everything is damp underneath it. But I'll tell you what, the trickiest thing about making these videos camping in the rain, changing the lenses. It's impossible to keep them dry and stop them from misting up and getting little speckles all over the lens, but I guess that's just part of it now. Now, I just heard a massive crash as I was finishing setting up the tarp just down here, and it sounded like a huge branch came falling out of a tree, so I'm going to go down and have a look because I imagine it's going to be tricky to get a fire going, and if that's a big bit of dead wood that's just fallen out of the tree, well, as wet as I'm sure that is because everything's wet, it hasn't been lying on a saturated floor, so it sounded heavy. I haven't even been to look at it yet, so we'll go together and check it out. But if it is what I think it is, then we might be able to process some of that down and find some wood dry enough to get a fire going, because Lord knows I need to get a fire going. I am saturated and it's going to get cold later, so let's go see. Alright, so this is the culprit. Nice bit of birchwood, dead birchwood's clearly just fallen out of the tree. Now it's soaking wet, everything is soaking wet, but it's not saturated like it's been lying on the floor, and there's actually a little bit of a stream. It's a bit marshy and a bit boggy down here, so I imagine all the wood down here that's lying on the floor would be impossible to get going. And I don't even know if this will get going, but it feels that given the day that we've got, this is about as good a chance as any. We're probably going to have to saw it up and then process it down with the axe and try and find something dry in the middle, make some really fine kindling out of it. We'll give it a go. If not, getting this fire going is going to be a real challenge. You're just relentless, absolutely relentless. Right, let's get this tree up there. Man, that rain is not letting up. and right now I'm cold and wet, and so I really need to get this fire going. I love camping in the rain once I'm warm, but yeah, it's a bit of a battle to get us there. Now, I've been processing up some of that wood that fell out of the tree earlier, and I've been reducing that down, getting to some dryish wood. It's pretty green, but I've been feathering it up. And in my little fire cheat bag here, I've actually got a couple of bits of fat wood that I harvested, I think last year now, and they still smell good. They're absolutely packed full of resin. So you can shave some of this off, and this will be really flammable. This will light and it will burn for quite a while. So that's going to be really useful to get this fire going. I'm going to be using a mixture of greenish wood and also dead wood that's going to be wet, because it's going to be even picked off of the lower branches of these trees here. It's still going to be wet and it's going to need some time to get going. So this fat wood, once you've shaved it off, it's really difficult to put out. You know, the rain won't put it out right away, the wind won't put it out right away. You can really make an effort and it will just keep burning, and that's the resin that's infused in this wood that will be doing that job. So I'm going to shave a whole bunch of this off, and this is going to be the base of my fire. And even though I'm going to be putting damp wood on top, this should burn for so long that will help dry out the dead wood I put on top, and then it should catch. I imagine it's going to get a bit smoky in here for a while, and then hopefully we'll have a nice roaring fire going, and then I can start to dry off, warm up, and then cook some food. But I don't know where Hank has absconded off to. Even his waterproof jacket by this point must be getting pretty wet. So, Hank, see where he's up. You're a little bit wet there, mate. Conditions like these, they are a test for the old firelighting skills. So how I've organised my wood basically is I've got the fat wood at the bottom, which I've taken loads of shavings of. That should catch and light and hold its flame for quite a while. On top of that, I've got the feather sticks that I've processed from the big silver birch that fell out of the tree whilst we were setting the tarp up. And then I've gone around and snapped a whole bunch of low-level twigs off of pine trees, which will be dead, Still pretty wet, but not as wet as wood that had been lying on the floor. And my hope is that as the flame raises up through this structure that we make, that the snapped off twigs that are damp, hopefully that'll all dry them off enough to catch, and then we're going to slowly, gingerly build this fire up. But yeah, as I said, this is always a test for the fire lighting skills, and I'm starting to feel the cold, so let's see how we go. All right, going to cheat a little bit with a lighter and just light this fat wood. There we go. And then let's see if we can light some of these feather sticks. Oh. Cheers. Don't mind if I do, you know. Oh. Anyway, once that fire got big enough, I decided to put the lid back on my wood burning stove. This is actually the stove I ordinarily use in my hot tent with a chimney, but I haven't used it since last year. And more often than not in the summer months, even the autumn, I'll just bring my little twig stove out with me. But I had a sneaking feeling today it was going to rain so hard that I would undoubtedly get wet and would end up getting cold and would just want something a bit more substantial to heat me back up. And I wasn't wrong. But also having the lid back on just makes managing cooking dinner a little bit easier rather than balancing it on the corners of the fire. Knowing me and given how clumsy I am, I would almost certainly spill that all over the place and dinner would go south, and I definitely need my dinner today. So sounds like Hank wants some food as well, don't you, mate? I can hear you asking for it. Won't be too much longer. Alright, on with the rest of it. Considering that's got no seasoning in it yet, that's already pretty good. It's quite a tomato heavy flavour at the moment, so I'm going to leave the lid of the pot off and let that reduce down. So I've still got about a quarter of a pot of beef stock left. So once that's reduced down, I'll put the beef stock in and hopefully that'll give it a bit more of a beefy flavour. Bit of salt, bit of pepper, whatever else we've got. A little bit of tomato puree just to thicken it back up. Although I know I said I was going to get rid of that flavour. Hopefully the reducing it down will thicken it up, but if not, a bit of tomato puree as well will just get it where I want to get it. And I tell you what is unexpected. Not only is the rain eased up for a moment, but I can see the sunshine. And that, smoke in my eye. That wasn't expected. So either the storm has passed early, or we're in the eye of the storm. You get that little moment in the middle where everything seems calm. You're like, oh, good, we're past it. It's all good. And then just as you start relaxing and resting on your laurels, the eye passes over and the next wave of the storm gives you a kick in. So I'm not going to get too excited just yet, but I feel optimistic that I'll have an opportunity to dry out. I'm trying to dry my hair out, but it's drier than it was, but it's definitely not dry. So keep that next to the stove. Oh. I imagine you'd turn back up round about now. Oh, so good. the wind is blowing in from behind me and it keeps picking up. We have these gusts and it's been coming from that direction all day. It's from the southwest, and so this pile of twigs and offcuts here that are right behind me, this random pile, is actually super handy because it acts as a windbreak. Even though I've dropped the tarp down and got the fire the other side of me, so the smoke gets blown away from me, the wind's not going to bother me, and neither is the rain when it picks back up, although it seems to be holding off still for a little bit, so don't know, maybe we're through it. I don't really mind either way, to be honest, because we're all set up for it now, so I'm getting warm and dry again. You want some more? Hank's just sat there staring at me like, please sir, can I have some more please? Like a little Dickens novel, isn't it, mate? Okay. Here you go, mate. All yours. I'm not going to take it back, don't panic. You like it? Not bad, huh? Pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. Ah, there we go. That's more like it. Beer? Some beer? Okay. Good, there's not much left. Whoa, that's better. Just come back to life. Now, although that fire's been roaring and burning away, keeping us warm, drying the clothes out, cooking the food, it has taken a little bit more work than usual because the firewood that I'm putting on is still damp, and I'm doing my best to dry it out. And whilst we were cooking our food, I had little piles of wood on there trying to dry out as best we can, but it's only going to get it so far, and a decent amount of that timber is damp still, so too much of it goes on. Once it started to burn down, it will start smoking and look like it wants to go out, so you just got to pay attention, maybe put some smaller twigs back on, give it a blow, let those flames reignite, and then we're good to go. But you can't rest on it too much. Oh, feels good though.